Go. Welcome all as we congregate to the greatest toy line in community, ever growing, ever changing. As we collect and adapt these figures to our own imaginations and embrace the fun, there's much to learn, especially if you're new to Mythics. Hello and welcome to another episode of New to Mythics, episode 58, with a very special guest, Mr. Anthony Houseal. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you very much for taking the time. I've been wanting to connect with you for the last couple of years.
I know we've talked about it at one point, and yeah, just life and everything else kind of got in the way.
We're busy guys.
Yeah, and in between, you talked to a bunch of goblins and other kind of crazy stuff, and
you had
to fill in the gap. I get it. It's okay. I'll allow it.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna get to that, but man, that was a crazy wrangling all those guys.
Yeah,
and your brother and his energy.
And my brother. That in itself.
Oh man, that was an interesting. I might need to go back and watch that again because I don't remember. It was like a blur. I was just like letting all these, and you got Dan Tobin with the Boston accent and mock, and it was just like me and Kirby were just like, oh man, and Patrick, we kind of just let those guys, chew up the stage, but it was awesome.
And thankfully, Mark wasn't painted green for that one.
Yes, I that's still etched in my mind. That's still, I'm like,
some people
Mark,
can't unsee that one.
What are you doing, Mark?
Yeah,
that's the love of goblins right there.
Yeah, that's hard.
It'll take you over.
Yeah,
it'll take you over. But before I just saw you last weekend at ToyCon New Jersey, which was awesome. But I saw someone even more important and awesome, and that's this young man right here.
That's my man, Pots and Pans.
This guy, Little Tony, Anthony, is the cutest, most handsome and adorable in this community. I'm sorry about everyone else community. I'm sorry, but this young man is so damn adorable.
He had such a blast. At one point, he was doing like the gritty, like the shuffle down the aisleways, just having a ball, just wanting to look at stuff. And ToyCon has always been an awesome show. This was the first time I've been able to go to the new one in the Armory. Mm-hmm. And I know they've always had like the RC cars and all that. And it was the first time I was able to take Tony to one of these. And he was watching the RC cars, and they had the opportunity to be able to race them. And I said, Bud, do you want to do this? And he was like, I'm having fun watching these guys try to drive these things. Like, they don't know what they're doing, and they're wrecking them, and they're crashing. The poor guys out there trying to move them around. And I was like, come on, can we go back and look at the toys? He's like, no, I just want to keep watching them just wreck these things. And like we stood there for like 10 minutes, and then he goes, I'm starving. Let's go get some food. And I said, well, there's pizza trucks out front. So we went out there, and they had the brick oven pizza in the box truck, and we had like some of the best pizza that we've had in a long time. And then we went back inside, and we were hanging out with the guys, and it was good. It was a great time. It's always a pleasure to see you and Brett, and to be able to see Joe Viteris and Joe Vassapolo and my boy Detour. And God, if I keep naming names, I'm going to forget people.
Oh, I mean, there's so many. But
George. It was great.
All those guys. But I just love, because I remember seeing you at ZoloCon too, and I saw your little man there
hustling with the hustle.
With the hustle, man, right next to the Four Horsemen table. That was awesome.
That was something that was not planned when I showed up. Originally, I thought I was going to be next to Chris and D13 Toys. Mm-hmm. So we were, starting to set up, and when I look back, I realized that they moved things around just because of the way the layout needed to work. And they had put us next to the Horsemen, and the way I was laying out everything, I was going to put Tony right where he was. And then I just put two and two together going, man, when everyone comes off at the checkout line, the first thing they're going to see is all of Tony's stuff. And there he is standing there in all his glory, just smile from ear to ear.
Absolutely.
And just had a blast. And actually the studio, George and Jim and CB and Sherry and all them spent copious amounts of time just talking with Tony and asking him about he did this and how he did that. And there are a couple times they bought some of the stuff and I would try to like jump in there. And what made my day was that Jim just kind of looked up at me. Jim's got that, he's got that look where, you're like, I'm going to leave him be. And Jim goes, I'm not doing business with you. I'm talking to him. But, okay.
That's pretty good, Jim.
And I just backed away. And I let him do his thing. But what was great was that Tony knew what the business model was. He knew that they were $5 for each little vehicle. They were $15 for the mech, or the deal was buy 5 for $20. And all I had to do was just hold the money for him. He did everything else. He did all the math. He's 7. So anyone tried to see if they could stumble him or whatever, he knew what it was. He'd go up to me and he'd go, here, Dad, here's X. I need this much money back. And all I just did was he did it all the way through. I was so proud of him.
I love that.
Out in like 6 hours for the day.
I didn't know he was selling stuff. I would have checked it out. Is that what that little box was?
It's what I was carrying around. He had more stuff. So yeah,
those are his things. Those are his things
that he's carrying.
I didn't know that. I just saw the little. Let me see this. So yeah, you pulled out the box, but I didn't know these were like his goods.
Yeah, he makes all kinds of cool little vehicles and mechs, and we have we pay for a license, so it's a license fee online that allows you to be able to print and then sell those. So we have a whole bunch of them, and they range from construction vehicles to jet airplanes, submarines, helicopters, and all kinds of cool things. And so, like, it might be a cool little, construction.
That is awesome.
And it's all articulated. Got the fun boom and moves around, or if it could be a helicopter.
Oh, that's rad. So if you see young Tony out there at the show, ask to see his goods.
Yeah.
And, so
they'll pop open the briefcase. It pops open both sides. And
I didn't know. I was looking, but I saw him. You guys gave something to the guy from Borderland Horde.
Yeah. Mark from Borderland loves Tony. He as he tells me, he's going to put Tony through college if he keeps making these things.
Right.
So I love that. Mark and the Borderland guys, they are amazing crew of guys. But Mark and I have known each other since the Legions Con 22, where he just showed up and he was like, I love dwarves and I see everything at your table and I want to buy everything. And I'm like, and at the time I was still like skittish. I had this little tiny section of I was going to sell like 7 or 8 dwarfs. And I was like, okay, fine. And then he just went and he bought. And then at somewhere along the way, I think I might have sold my soul at that show.
Right.
And then I was just like, okay, everything's for sale. And I left the show going, oh my God, what do I have left? And then just kind of rebuilt everything out from there, trying to figure it out. And so, but I've worked with them and they're just such an awesome crew. And
they're awesome. I just kind of met them basically at ToyCon. I've heard of them, but I'd never really met them. And I checked out their table and I got this gorgeous
the frog.
Now,
is that the rider one or is that the companion one?
It's the rider one, I think. It's the Big Daddy one.
Yeah.
They have a small one.
We have the companion one here, which is beautiful.
I need that one too. I'm in love with this thing.
What'd you think of the War Turtle?
That War Turtle was damn.
Yeah.
That War Turtle was awesome.
Yeah. I couldn't when he showed us. There's a small group chat of the Borderland guys and my brother and I, and when he showed us a preview of that, I was like, oh my God, what are you guys smoking? Like that thing is that's
crazy.
insane. Like
it's insane.
but
beautiful.
it's gorgeous, and it's got multiple pieces where you can put the cannon on, you can throw a person on there. Like, I love watching the community. I love watching the community grow, because you see like the old guard kind of, they're there. Yes. They kind of move and kind of stand back and watch the new guard of customizers and third party people come through, and they know what they need to do. And I just watch guys like the Borderland guy just pick up that flag and just carry it on into the next wave of people coming into the line. So I'm super happy.
Yeah.
And proud to call them not only just friends, but like, happy to see them, be real representatives of the community.
Thriving and doing good. Yeah. I love so many friends in this group, and I just love, everyone has their own unique personality. And
yeah, definitely.
Going back to ZoloCon, can you, what was the story again with this here? What tell us what happened here.
So
tell us the story. This is Dylan, for people that don't know. Everyone probably knows. Sweetest young guy, kid, great guy.
He's just amazing. He comes up to the table on Sunday with, I think Raul was with him.
Right, yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, I want to buy that custom." And I made that custom a while back, and at that point Sunday, it was kind of one of those things where I was just trying to look to maybe clear a couple things, just make room to bring stuff home. Like, great, there's the price or whatever. And he goes, "Well, I don't have the money with me right now." And anyone else, majority of anyone else, I'd go, "All right, cool. When you get the money, just give me a holler and we'll take care of business." But it's Dylan. Dylan's great. I mean, he's like everyone's. He's like everyone's kid brother.
Yes.
Or to some people, their son.
Right.
So I was like, "Look, Dylan, this is what we'll do." I said, "You take it home with you, and then you just pay me when the money comes in." And then he was like, "I don't know. I feel uncomfortable. I feel weird." I'm like, "Look, just, it'll be fine." And then I just, I'm looking at Raul and I said, "But if you don't pay me, I'll just, I'm going to remind you. And then if you don't continue not to pay me, I'm going to make some subtle announcements on Saturday Night Live and some of the other places. And then if you still don't pay me, I'm going to find you. And I'm going to take a bar of soap from one of the soap vendors right down the way that was selling soap. I'm going to put it in a sock and I'm going to beat you with it."
Now, didn't you grab the gold barbarian hair?
Well, we're getting there. And I said, and then my son Tony standing next to me laughing because Raul's dying.
Yeah.
And Tony's laughing at me as I'm threatening violence on this poor kid. And I said, "Then we're going to tie you up. I'm going to shave your head."
His locks
on that side, I'm going to shave your head. I'm going to put the Toy Forge logo on the side of his head. So now Raul thinks that like I should now be the Toy Forge and Loan Shark company.
Right.
So now out of nowhere, Dylan pulls out the actual amount of money, pulls out like the whole wad of money in his sock. Where did this come from? Where did this come from? So then so before the money all came through, I had, thankfully, ZoloCon was a great show for everyone. And because of the barbarians, which I have like fallen in love with, like it's my new.
Me too, man.
It's my new obsession. Like I'm
in love with that figure. Where's my barbarian? Yeah, I'm like in love.
If you're happy and shake a barbarian.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I'm up to. You know what? It's probably better I don't say.
Nah, probably not.
Yeah.
You'll get some messages.
So I grabbed one of the barbarian extra heads that I had, one of the hairs, and I grabbed my hobby nippers that I had there just to do odd man work. And when he wasn't looking, I cut half the hair off and I stuck it on one of the heads. And I said, "This is going to be you." And he just like freaked out. And then all of a sudden the money came out from under the sock and then everything was paid off and we were good to go. Yeah, we were great.
He was shaking.
Oh my God. And even after he paid, he still didn't want to leave the table. Like he was afraid, like, I don't know, like the deal was done, the deal was made, but he was just terrified.
That made me laugh.
Boy. Yeah.
We shared a room and he came up to the room with like, this paper. I'm like, "What do you got, man?" Like his hands are kind of shaky and I'm like, What is this wrapped up in a, what is that, a sandwich? What is
Yeah,
that?
and it looked like it literally. I'm at that point too. Like the boxes that I had, like I given out most of the small boxes to send stuff out, and I even felt bad that like all I had left was like brown, like packing. It just had wrapped it, but I knew he
That could
wasn't.
be your thing, man.
Yeah, yeah, you like wrap it up and like yeah, like the fishmonger
With
and
the
like swing it
string and
down the
the,
way to
yeah,
throw it to you, kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, he great kid, love him.
That's
But
it was funny. I had to get that story out.
yeah,
I had to hear that again. Where is the gold hair though? I wonder. Do you know what happened to the gold hair that you cut?
I haven't. Oh, the section I cut off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lost to the four winds.
Okay, I was gonna say we got to find that, man,
But
and you know.
but Dylan has the the 2/3 of the hair
Oh, he
piece.
does.
He
Okay.
has that. The
Okay,
piece that was
that's
cut
what
off.
I'm.
Yeah, that is somewhere in a King of Prussia, waste pile somewhere.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I had to hear that story again, man. That cracked me up. That was a special moment. You know, that's why people need to come to these cons to just to see, you know, to witness the things that go down, you know.
Because people don't understand when you get to go to these shows and you get to interact with everyone and and I don't want to use the word networking because I know that's like professional work terms, but you're essentially you're networking with the studio, you're building relationships with them.
Yes.
They're working, they get to know the names and the faces of their fan base. But not only that, but then I get to meet you. I get to meet Brett. I get to meet
Right.
everyone that's out there. And then you start finding other lines and you finding other people that are in the other lines. And before you know it, you've built these bonds of with friendships that go way beyond the plastic. Like at some point, believe it or not, Mythic Legions will end. But when that happens, we're going to have these family like bonds with people that
Yes.
we're going to be able to say, all right, what's next? What are we going to do? Let's
Right.
grow out our mustaches and get into competitive
Yep.
strongman competitions.
Let's
Like
do it.
let's do it, and that's what we're
Yeah.
going to do. So
No, I agree. I
yeah, I
agree.
mean, I don't want Mythic Legions to end anytime in the next 3 decades, but when that time happens, we'll all have, not only the friends that we made in the beginning, but the new guys and the ones that have yet to even find the line yet. Like
Yes, I agree.
that's what's great is that there's people that haven't even figured out what Mythic Legions are, that when they do, they're going to be like, oh my God. And they're going to be local. There's going to be
Right.
someone that's local in my community that might be 25 minutes away from here that's going to be now a close friend that I can't wait to meet
Right.
in the future soon.
And then imagine like if they start creating their own customs or their own head sculpts or their own, you know, frog mounts. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
what are they going to bring to the table? I
Yeah.
can't wait. It's going to
Well,
be.
I mean now that's like, oh, sorry, what my printer's just finished.
Okay.
That's I mean, that's like perfect example is my brother. My brother was saw that I loved the line, knew I loved the line, and listened to me for years talk about it. And finally I was like, dude, it's a reinforcement wave. And this was the reinforcement wave a couple years ago. And I said, you just have to buy one. Just buy one figure. If you do not like it, I will buy it back from you.
Yes, I've done that.
Right. And of course, he bought a goblin because.
Oh no, that
Yeah.
that makes sense. That explains.
And the truth be told, the first figure I ever bought was a dwarf too. So I mean, that kind of tracks. So
right.
And he was like, okay, I get it. And then his first show was ZoloCon of 22. And from there on out, it just went and just continued to grow from there. So once you have that first one and then you start creating a bond with someone, it doesn't matter who. Once you create that bond and then you get to that show and you're in line with someone, getting in line, get there early, get in line, start talking with a guy. Because guaranteed you're going to get there early. The person in line is going to be a Mythic Legions fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's going to be Brett. It's going to be the Gonzalez's.
Raul,
it's going to be Raul.
Brett,
it's going to be Sven. It's going to be
Sven.
one of them. And, and before you know it, you're going to know what you need to know about Legions, and you're going to have a great group of people to have, communication with and go out right from there.
Yeah, you're building friends. You're building lifelong friends right there.
Yeah.
Little Guesagway. you know,
Oh yeah,
all these amazing people.
yeah,
That's what happened to me at Zolicon. You know, I met all these amazing people, um, and you know, just became part of that community. And I'm
yeah.
like, man, this. I don't want to go anywhere else. This is the
It's funny.
best group of people.
It's funny that Zolocon. Now I'm just saying that out loud. Zolocon is that weird. Not weird. I say that in the best of terms, but Zolocon is that show for a lot of people. Even for me, it was where I bought my first Mythics.
Mm-hmm.
I bought Bothar and Attila's or Attalus in 2018.
Wow.
And yeah, that was still when they had them on the at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting Bothar. I didn't get Thord, and my buddy Nick got Thord. And later on, I was like, I should have gotten Thord. And then like a year later, he shipped me Thord. So like I got my Thord through him because there was no other way I would have been able to get Thord.
Right.
So like Nick was able to help me complete my quest
Mm-hmm.
to get all the dwarves. But like, I mean, that's as far back when I go. But it's Zolocon. I remember the year before they were there, but I couldn't put two and two together what it was.
Right.
So like I've been going to Zolocon for a long time, but Zolocon was where I, broke that, that plane getting in there and
Mm-hmm.
to see so many new people do that
Right.
it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always like to ask like what people collected when they were young, like
Sure.
what started you, you know, as a figure, you know, appreciator,
Yeah, I
collector.
mean that answer unfortunately is like everything during the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's the
it
best
was
time, man.
it was. I mean, it was G.I. Joe, it was He-Man, it was Mask, it was Transformers, it was Secret Wars, it was
Yes,
Superpowers, it was
yes,
Silverhawks, it
yes.
was
All
uh
that good
God,
stuff.
it was Centaurions, it
Yes.
was just about everything that you could think of. And I was born in 81. So I had like a really cool Star Wars. It was that real cool stretch because I was able to go in Ninja Turtles. I was able to go into like, right into like the early 90s. Like the last things that I was collecting was Exo Squad. I
Mm-hmm.
remember getting King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and some of those things. Like even like, and I love um, like the 2-inch figures, like some Mask, Dino Riders, um, the oh god, was it the the Sky Rider, the ones with the zip lines,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all that stuff. I love, and that's why I think like Glyos hits me in the feels
Mm-hmm.
because it just hits that right scale. Because love just kind of just grabbing one and throwing it in my pocket and kind of running around. Yep.
Yeah, these are D17, I think. But it's just such a fun scale. Just like the smaller, you put these in your pocket, you
Yeah.
know, as a kid, and you know, they didn't take up a lot of space. You could trade them, take them to school, you know, hopefully not lose them.
Well, and at Christmas time was great because like with a line like GI Joe, like there would be 15 figures that would come out,
Mhm.
and at the price point really wasn't even because my parents were middle. I grew up middle class,
Right.
so and three boys. My brother Mark and I were very much action figure. My youngest brother Tom was more of a trucks and Lego guy. Like we were all Lego guys too, but my youngest brother was more of like cars and trucks and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So when mom and dad would, when Santa would go, have stuff under the table for under under the tree for us, it was easy for Santa to just kind of come through and just kind of go, okay, this one, this one, this one,
Yeah,
this one,
right.
this one, this one, and then Mark got this one, Anthony got this one, and before you know it, you'd almost have like a good chunk of the wave, and maybe there was one big vehicle under the tree, or like there might have been like two smaller vehicles or something. So GI Joe was really that one growing up for us that we could go back and forth with, and it was great too because then you had Silverhawks, Secret Wars, and the superpowers that were a little bit bigger, but they were more superheroes. So like
Mhm.
scale wise, kind of work within that realm, and then some of the
Right.
playsets that were there. So really just allowed you to have a good time with all that. So I loved growing up with all those toys, and it really shaped I think my collecting nowadays, and when you grab specifically a Mythic Legion figure and the nostalgia that it hits you of a time when you were a kid, makes you feel like you're 7 years old again, playing with He-Man and all those cool things. And you're just
Right.
like, this is great. And like the ATL figure, like when you look at that, you're like, oh my God, this is a G.I. Joe figure. Like
It is. It's
this
like the
is,
souped
yeah.
up
Yep.
deluxe version of
Yeah. It
G.I.
almost
Joe.
feels like the late 80s, early 90s G.I. Joe, kind of vibe, minus the neon crazy colors. Like
Right.
it's great. Like I love it. So I love how that came through. But yeah, I'm such a fan of a lot of those toy lines. It's hard to really pinpoint and pick one particular one.
I mean, we had so many options back then. I
Yeah.
mean,
And the waves didn't last long. So like, so you had 2 waves, 3 waves, and then stuff was gone. Like Centaurions lasted like 3 waves.
right. Yeah.
Silverhawks lasted 2 or 3 waves. Thundercats lasted a couple years. I mean, obviously He-Man lasted a good chunk. G.I. Joe, Transformers, they transcended they set the bar, like what toy lines all wanted to be, and not many of them could be. Turtles was the same way. Star Wars, they could never be a line that could last 5 or 6 years.
Right.
But you had, once the bans were lifted and you're able to put the cartoons to support the toy lines, you're able to put all that stuff out there and be able to get long runs. But like there were even like goofy, crazy ones that, like Barnyard Commandos and
Right.
the Army Ants, and there was the little Men of Honor, the little pocket, tiny size guys, and there's just all that crazy stuff that
I had fun with the little plastic army men, that they were molded. Like the guy had like the flamethrower or the machine gun or the throwing the grenade. Even those I had a blast with. I think
so. Yeah, when we would go on vacation down to the Jersey Shore, we would go to Wildwood in down South Jersey. For those that are local or will know what I'm talking about, there was on the boardwalk, there was the 99-cent stores. So you had your Army men, you had your cheap Remco knockoff wrestlers. But in lieu of the Army men, my parents would always get the scuba divers. So we would be down on the beach.
those
You
are
have the
cool.
scuba divers, and then you had the guy that would swim, or you had the one with the harpoon, and you have the boat, and we'd be sitting there by the ocean, or if we go back to the pool, and you'd buy like 3 bags of them. By the end of the week, they were all gone anyway.
Yeah, where'd they go?
Lost
stuck
to
in
the
that old guy's foot over there. He stepped in it.
Yeah. Some guy's got a harpoon sticking out of his foot.
Isn't that funny though? How like something so freaking basic as like these molded scuba divers or army men or whatever, like could entertain us for a summer. Like it could just, like I had so much fun. Like I had a bag that I had of these army men, and who knows how much the bag was, $1, $2 or whatever.
Probably.
But like I would get in mud. I would have like little, outside scenarios and little battles and stuff. And man, but like I wasn't thinking about articulation. I wasn't like, man, I wish this, grenade lobber was, double jointed or something. It's like, as a kid, you didn't even care.
I know we've kind of become snobs a little bit to some of that stuff. But when you look at the core component of it, what it was and what it did, I mean, even growing up too, my dad made models, and he was into the small, like 1/172 scale miniature guys, like the real little tiny army men. And he would paint those. He was big with the Civil War stuff, but then he would get us the army guys. So we'd have all these little guys that I swear weren't much bigger than my thumbnail. Like run. So like we were so used to having like even those little tiny guys, and then you get you the Romans, and then the knights, and you have the horses. So like it's just the genres, the fantasy, the warfare, all that just been so engulfed and ingrained in my psyche that like now for trying to do the customization of stuff, the ideas just go back and forth for like 30 years back, 40 years back, and you start making things like this, where, then you watch something new and you're like, oh my God, I want to make something based off of this movie or something, or it's all there. So
how did you find out about Mythic Legions? Like, what was it that
I was familiar with the Four Horsemen. I remember like back in the early, I guess, whenever the Ramathor and like some of the elephants and some of that stuff
Right.
was coming out. And at the time, financially wasn't a good time for me to really get involved in high-end toys. I mean, I remember getting back into toys in the early 2000s when G.I. Joe was back on the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
The G.I. Joe versus Cobra line, they had the weird T-joint and stuff like that. So I was starting to get back into that. And then obviously I got involved with the My Wife's Gonna Kill Me guys, like with their show and things like that. And for them, that became like the end all be all line. And I remember, them talking about it. And then Steve Bisciotti and I became really close. And he had said, look, same deal. I'm going to send you one and you're going to, and I was like, no. I'll be fine. And then I just decided to go ahead and get one because I was collecting the 1/18 scale, the Vitruvian hacks.
Mm-hmm.
So because they would come to a show in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and I'd be able to buy them in like large quantities at the show. They would have painting sessions where you could learn and customize. So I've been customizing since I was Tony's age with tinfoil, tape, and wire ties.
Oh yeah,
all kinds of stuff. So, but then to be able to start learning how to paint and do all that with the 1/18 scale, I was like, no, man, I'm good with 1/18. Like that's my jam. And then I was like, right. No, I'll get one or two of these, and these will just be like the evil bad guys. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, huh, that these are like way cooler than I planned on.
Right.
And yeah, so I'm gonna get some more of these. And they have a He-Man one coming out? Atamon? Huh. Oh, look at that dwarf with that big red long beard he's a king? Oh. Okay. Oh, look at that female Viking woman, Freya. Okay. That was it. I was done. And I stopped buying everything 1/18. And it just continued to go down and down and down the rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. So
I don't know what it is. I think Eric has somehow Treadaway has like tapped into our childhood and our imagination by creating all these assortment of like different figure types, factions and races, and like there's something for everyone. And even when you get everything, that you are looking for. So say I just want vampires.
Yeah.
Once you get all the vampires, you're not going to just stop and be like, no. I'm good now.
Yeah.
You know what? Look, maybe I'll check out the skeletons, or maybe I'll check out the, and next thing you know, you're buying all of those, and you're buying all the, and I think it's tied to our imagination too. Like, it makes us feel like we're kids again with, all these.
It does. And you really feel like you want to, for every action, you want an opposite reaction. So for every dwarf, you want a bad goblin or a evil orc, or for every heroic knight, you want an army of skeletons to battle. And you're like, yeah, I'm just going to collect one thing. And then it's like, all right, well, I've collected that. Well, now what? All right, well, now I'm going to collect all these. All right.
Right.
Well, now what? And then
because it's all good. You know they're all going to be good. So whatever you do, you're not going to be like, I don't want this. No, you're going to want it. You're going to.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all good stuff. So what was it that made you decide like you're dwarf? You're the the king under the mountain. What was the thing that made like, okay, I'm dwarfs, like this is my thing? Like what was it that,
with the line, or just
with you? Like what was it? How like some people go this way or that way. Like why is it dwarves for you?
So I mean, for me, when you look back at a lot of games and video games and just stories and things like that, they're always involved at some way, shape, or form. Golden Axe, Hero Quest, Lord of the Rings. You just look at a lot of these. I mean, and even like a lot of the stories, and the books, all the D&D books, and and things like that. I mean, you just, every time you turn around, there's always a dwarf involved in some party doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And like I mentioned, growing up, middle class, blue collar family, hardworking, you just kind of look at the dwarf and you go, hey man, these guys, they're hard workers. They got a job to do. They're blacksmiths. They're miners. They inlay with the gems. They cut the stone. They do whatever. They like to party, like to have a good time amongst each other. They know when it's time to buckle down and get to work and do business. And I kind of feel the same way.
Right.
You know, that's kind of how I am. Like, you know, there's things you got to do. You just got to just do it. And
Right.
there's in my heart, I'm a 6 foot tall dwarf. It's just what I want to be, like, you know. And I love how they sometimes just don't care what other people think. And you're like, look, man, I'm just going to do my thing, whether you like it or not. It's just what it is. And we're going to have a good time. And like how they unite and work together. And our community, the dwarven community, that we've put together through the Mythic Legions, the Kings Under the Mountain, is a great group. I mean, we're not a giant number. We don't necessarily just let every, you know, Tom, Dick, or Harry, you know, jump in and join the group. We try to make sure that you're familiar with what's going on, your particular favorite characters. We try to do our best to like eliminate robots or whatever just come through, or, you know, we try to vet out everyone, make sure that you're not just coming in to try to sell stuff, or, you know, we have specific rules of where our group that we have is more content and creativity driven and less sales driven. We have certain days of the week that we allocate for sales. And even with that, we try to make sure that no one's trying to spam the group, so that like every Tuesday and Thursday, you're not seeing the same guy post the same thing over and over. We really want it to be new content, new creativity, new, hey man, I'm working on this custom. Hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, I have a question. How do you make this? Or what parts constitute this? Or, and we just kind of go back and forth. And we have a really great private chat message group, and we're constantly back and forth. And we've got guys all over the world. We've got Neil Magano from the Philippines. We've got Kruggan that from Tennessee that with his a massive collection of customs. We've got Chris Ferrone, and our admins and mods are amazing. We've got Chris Ferrone, we got Matt Stein, we got Eddie, we got Guillermo, we've got Will, we've got, you know, it's a large crew of us. And obviously the group was originally put together for our friend Justin Johnson, who was the original dwarven, you know, king. And Justin liked to have, during the pandemic, you know, hard for us to all get together. He would have these video chats, and he would like to talk about it and everything. And he would promote it in the cabal. And sometimes it, you know, in dwarven fashion, we would promote things and we would rub people the wrong way, because that's just kind of how boisterous we would be. So I came up with the idea going, hey, you know what? Why don't we create our own group, make it dwarf specific? We'll do our thing, and then we'll be able to promote our own stuff from there, and maybe be able to make it work out that way. So I put this group together, named it, and then originally Justin was going to kind of be the head of everything and kind of work it out that way. And I was kind of work behind the scenes and do our thing. But then I was kind of having so much fun, we just kind of were doing it together. And then Legions Con of 2021, he was supposed to be a part of Intern for a Day. He was supposed to come out early. I remember 2 days before the show, he shows me a letter showing, I got COVID. I'm not going to go. I can't go. I can't fly out. Because he wasn't really even a big fan of wanting to fly. He was going to drive. Like, he was like back and forth. I think he was going to fly, but he would rather have driven. But he was just, you know, standoffish with that. So he was going to fly, got sick, couldn't go. And I remember messaging him. He was hurting really bad, sending him shots of everything from the virtual, from G-Con. Because G-Con, I remember watching it from my basement with my friend Nick. And then I talked to him Sunday morning, thanking me for sending all the pictures. And then I remember Monday, Eddie and I were going back and forth on something. And then Eddie called me later in the day. I thought we were wrapping up on whatever that was. And he told me that Justin had passed away. And like, I remember where I was. I remember like I was going to be the first time I was going to meet Justin. It was going to be like this whole thing. And I just remember like just the wind was just taken out of my sails, like the high of that weekend, my first actual show, vending, interacting with people. It was just such a great time. And the high of all of that was just gone.
Yeah.
Gone, blown away. And like, I just sat in the parking lot because I was working. I texted my wife and I said, because she knew that what was going on, and she knew like I had my friends, like she knows like I have my friend circle, and she knows it better now than then, but she knew about my friend Justin. I said, Justin just died. And she was like, are you okay? And I said, I'm not okay. I'm not good. I'm going to need some time before I come home.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and I cried for like 45 minutes. And then I remember messaging Chris Garwick at the studio and letting him know what had happened to see if there was anything like if they needed to cancel pre-orders to get money back to the family, you know, whatever they needed to do. I remember messaging a few other people, and it was just, yeah, like that. The rest of that week was just like a blur. And then I went into that mode of what can we do to help, because that's just how I wanted to cope. Right. So then we started to put together some really amazing group projects with people. I was working with Eric Bory's Zombie 13. We were starting to put together this crazy, amazing community project where everyone was donating parts and pieces, and everything was going to Eric, and who was making this soft goods, and who was making this weapon, and who was painting this, and who was donating that. And he put this whole thing together. And while this was happening, Matt O'Toole was making a custom himself, and the soft goods from the custom were strips of fabric from when he was working on the Hobbit movie.
Wow.
So everyone's like putting together, doing all these things. I think Nikki had painted heads. I think I can't remember all the different things that we end up doing. In addition to all of that, the studio says we're working on something. And then they message Eddie and I, and they say, we're working on this. This is something that, you know, we want to do. And they create the Justin of House of Valgard figure, because Valgard was Justin's favorite figure, and Justin would spend stupid amounts of money to get Valgard parts to just make customs with them. And so we created this thing, and Eddie and I got an opportunity to kind of help put together some of the bio. We did this huge, you know, raffle to do everything to raise money, and we were really able to help with the family. Essentially, I you know, to not get into crazy details, but I think we kind of helped bury him because, you know, young family, young kids, you don't really plan to do that kind of stuff that early in life. And we were able to really help the family get through that. We were able to provide a Christmas for the family. There was a lot of good things that the community got together and did. And it was just, it was the roller coaster of emotions to get through that year was just what was insane. So so we got through that, and then we rolled into 2022 and just kind of started moving forward, and the Kings just kind of shifted and evolved, and that's kind of what our motto was. You know, we're just the Kings under the mountain. We're loud, we're proud, and it's just kind of what the few, the proud, you know, the loud, the Kings under the mountain, and we just pick battles and fight with anyone we wanted to, and we just put this chip on our shoulder and gotten a little more calm because we were always saying we're the underdogs and they never made figures for us. And anytime you put figures out there, we'd buy them and, they'd be gone real quick. And then, the response always back was that's because they were under manufactured and there was never enough of them, or they're always cheaper in price. There's always a little dig back at us or whatever.
Right.
But, I think at this point we've proven that as a community, we're pretty strong. And I mean, look, the All-Star vote, we got together as a community and they tried to really throw us off our game and put 2 dwarfs out there, the last All-Star vote. And
Right.
what we did was in our community, we gathered our forces. We united all the clans and said, who are we putting our vote behind? And we picked who we wanted and we really put that out there and we were able to get Bothar in there. And what I found out was that Bromden was pretty close to making it on that list. And then they put
Really?
Yeah. Both are Bromden almost made that list. There was almost 2 dwarfs in the All-Star vote and then Scally on top of it. We almost got 3 dwarfs in All-Stars in that last All-Stars.
That would have been awesome.
I could just imagine what some people would have been like. So that whole year of the dwarf, like that year of the dwarf thing that we really push that hard because every year is the year of the dwarf. So
I can't wait for All-Star 6. I want a Bothar. I can't wait to.
Bothar was my first figure, so I have a special spot in my heart for him. Now, when you compare the figures together, Bromden is, heads above a better value, but
Right.
Bothar is, coming from that early wave, much harder to come by.
Right.
But what's cool with Bothar is that Brett Stoddard has shown that a lot of the Bothar pieces match really well with the Terpiculi skin tones and some of the armor and stuff like that. He's putting together some shockers. Brett put together a really cool skeleton,
Right.
but using some of the Bothar pieces. So I think we'll be in pretty good shape for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Definitely. It's nice. It's nice that dwarves are getting some love for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and even to expand on that, the dwarfs, the goblins, everyone's getting, and the groups like the Malignancy got a really cool shout out. The Kings, we got our shout out in our own unique way. Obviously, they think they wanted to be careful with how we reference, instead of being the Kings under the mountain, it's the exiles under the mountain, from under the mountain.
Right.
The reference to that for in the Dwarf 2-pack, and I'm cannot put into words how excited and proud I am that myself, Chris, and Kevin, one of our other admins, the 3 of us got to be named as members of the exiles from under the mountain, in addition to Dagna Stormforger. So the option to be able to build out the characters from the 2-pack, you can make however you want to make it into one of us. And we've kind of all discussed amongst ourselves, okay, here's how you're going to build Chris Snapbeard. Here's how you're going to build Kevin Dragobane. Here's how you're going to build Anton of the Forge. So as we get closer to Rising Suns and those figures come out, we'll probably just go ahead and announce our recipes and how you want to build it.
Absolutely.
That might be kind of cool. I mean, it's the unofficial head canon, but we'll make it work.
That's right. No, I can't wait. I'm gonna buy multiples. I pre-ordered a few, but I
just
think
in case my wife's watching, I'm not going to say how many I ordered.
Are we talking Brett numbers of?
This might be tidy level.
It's okay. I mean, you're excused on this one for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm allowed.
I wanted to ask a question. When
Please.
did you get into the customizing aspect? I know you said that you've been customizing since you're a kid, but like I love the Mythics, like how they are, but I can see like as a customizer or like, in your blood, it's like you want to start like using these pieces or using these figures as, it's like, oh, I can make something cool out of this. So when did that really occur to you?
Immediately.
Really?
Immediately. I think I went to work right away. Yeah, there's something there really fun that I got to do with my dad. This is a cool project. I'll answer your question in a moment, but to just go into this one. So what I love to do is I like to mix organic and inorganic pieces. So the metal looking pieces are just resin, and that wood that goes through there is an actual dowel rod that I used an electric fracking device. Mm-hmm. So what it was originally a 4-foot long dowel rod that my dad has a fracking device. And what that is you dip the wood in a solution of water and baking soda. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, it's not exactly how it is, but imagine a car battery with prongs on each end of it with a power device with foot pedal that powers it, that allows the connectivity to run through. Mm-hmm. And I've got these big, giant mad scientist rubber gloves on. There was a video at one point that I had showed that might be around in a YouTube, in a Facebook Live. And you make one point and then you make another point. And what it does is it creates that connection. And then the voltage runs through and it finds the veins of the wood. And then it creates all those little burn fracking marks through awesome. There. So I made the one Legion's Con. I think I ended up making like 10 of those. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. And then of course, like I always do, I end up making a bunch of them and I forget to make one for myself.
Oh no.
But I was thinking about those the other day going, I'm due to make these again. So I might have to break out the old mad scientist gloves and get back to my dad's garage and get that all set up. Cause our whole family, we're all customizers. My dad has a side thing where he does artistic work on decorative gourds. Okay. The Cabal gourd that you saw with the wall tour.
Yeah.
That gourd, that logo is because my dad and I made a Cabal gourd and gave it to Walter. And they went ahead and they made that little gourd that came with him because of that. So the Cabal gourd is because of something that my dad made. So yeah, it's really cool.
That is cool.
And then obviously Mark, and then my daughter has made some things over the years, and my son is now getting into it. And then Mark's daughter Everly, she's into it. She's making crazy third-party heads that I'm printing, and sometimes I'm looking at these things going, and I think maybe the money we make from this, we should get her therapy, because there's some crazy ideas and designs she's putting out there. So, but back to your question about when I got involved, like I was customizing stuff right away. I was, wanting to do this, wanting to do that. But then once I started seeing the 3D printing studios, I mean, specifically at the time, the original guy was Mayfac, was My Action Figure Customs. They went out, they were putting stuff out there, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, we can do all kinds of neat stuff. And then I remember meeting Len LaGuardia at RetroCon of 2018. Yeah, 2018. And then, we became friends and have become, brothers at this point as well. And then we went to Legion's Con, the first Legion's Con in 2019, and the stuff was there. And we're going back and forth, and Len and I were, I think, Len was already 3D printing, but he was doing filament stuff at the time. And then I think he started to dip his toes in the resin, just kind of getting into it. And then I got into the resin. And then February of 2020, I was printing and then starting to put stuff out there, starting to come up with little things and messing with this and remixing that and playing around. So it's been over 5 years now, I've been putting stuff out there. And so, in the early days, it was Mayfac, it was me, it was Len, it was Von Burke, it was Noble Bear. Trying to think, there's probably a few other guys that are out there. So obviously, apologies if I've forgotten anyone, but I'm just trying to remember the big names early on. But yeah, I mean, and even to this day, Noble Bear still thriving and doing amazing work. I mean, he's been all over the world now at this point, and he's in Colorado, now he's in Puerto Rico, and he's just doing amazing stuff. And love seeing all the new things that he's putting out there. The robots that he was doing with the heart, with the oh, what was it? Oh God, I can't remember the name. Is it the Heart Chronicles? Is that what it was?
I think so.
Yeah, I saw he just posted a robot the other day that he found that he was messing with. It was great. Von Burke with his Von boxes with the subscriptions.
Right.
It's awesome. I love seeing the old guard still. We're still doing our thing, and then obviously Len is just the juggernaut. He is the Wolf King, and the way he's been able to just continue to move and be at the forefront of everything, between the swag, the figures, the prints, just whatever it needs to be, the running the community, being involved with the gang and at the shows and being
Everything.
street team. Len is, people talk about pillars of the community, but Len is the pillar.
Yes.
We all should strive to be like Len. And, if we could even just get to be a tenth of what he is, then
and
we've
just
done
the
really
nicest, most open, kindest, most generous, just
Lenerosity. Lenerosity is
it's a real
definitely
thing.
a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I had, I think I'd reached out to him. He had printed this, it was a dog, kind of like the frog. It was like a pack dog.
Yep.
And I'd reached out and said, hey, because I think he sold a few and I think he sold out of them, or they weren't really making them too much because they're kind of problematic. And I kind of bugged him like once or maybe twice. I think I'd message him like, hey, are you going to get any more of those? And he's like, I don't think so. I'm not sure we're going to. And he just mailed me one. He just I opened a box and it was like there. I'm like, dude,
yeah,
thank you. Just that. I love that, that kind of just kindness and generosity. And it makes you want to, be a better person and do the same thing and help, your community when you can. And I love that.
Yeah. He and the wolf, the wolf den that he runs with his group, and he does his Fridays with Len. I just wish I had the time that I don't have anymore. I wish I could just do a fraction of what Len's able to do for the community. It just amazes me. And and everyone loves him and they know it. So, I can't speak anymore on that. Like, he's just such a great person, great human being.
So you sent me a ton of,
I did. We don't really have to go through 30 million of them. I know. I wasn't sure what you wanted to go through or look at, but there's a lot. Yeah.
I do want to show some.
Sure, please.
Just before we wrap it up, there is a reason why we're keeping this at a nice, tighter, shorter episode. We're gonna cut this, and then we're gonna jump into a dwarf deep dive episode after this. So, and I think what I'll do is I'll have 1 week will be this episode, and then the next week will be basically Anthony part 2 with deep dive under the mountains. So,
sure. And then we can always do a part 3 and finish up whatever down the line.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe we can do that. We'll do deeper dives, because I would love to hear the stories of how you came up with this custom or that custom or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll do that. But real quick, so we did mention this figure, and this seems like it's kind of like looking at these newer clips. Let me see. This figure kind of seems to be your muse now, as this figure is a great canvas, right?
Yeah. I thank goodness these didn't come out 8 years ago, or else there wouldn't be anything related to dwarves. I'd just be I'd be the barbarian guy, right?
I'm telling you though,
king,
I need more. I love this figure so. It's got that He-Man thing. It's got that Conan.
It's got everything.
The fantasy, the sword and sorcery. Like you did Thundar right here. I mean,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah,
Am I right? Thundar. It's got. I mean,
it can be anything you want it to
it
be.
just
And
like turns me into a kid. Like
yeah,
instantly. Like I want a barbarian in every room. Just
I kind of like want to sit here and like open up the next one.
yeah, it's just like I
Yeah,
just am in love with this figure. I'm like, I need more. And I
yeah,
know it's wrong. I know it's bad because right now, there's not a lot of them everywhere and not everyone has one. And I'm sorry. I've strived. I spent a lot of money going to different shows and driving 12 hours to get there. So, but man, if people are taking a break or not, maybe I won't go to this show, go to this show, get a barbarian because this figure is fire.
yeah. Like to understand where we are in real time. Tomorrow is the Lehigh Valley Toy Show, and the Wolf King has a street team show there. There is a I can't go because Tony's got baseball and everything, but there is a subtle part of me that's thinking about messaging someone to
Yes.
get in line,
Yes.
get what they need to get, and then literally get out of line and get back in line and grab me 2 barbarians
Yes.
just
I know.
because I need them just because. So I'm working on a dirty dozen of
Yeah.
barbarian customs for Legion's Con.
Yeah. It's
I'm up
insane.
to I'm up to like 6 now of the custom made.
Yeah, you're gonna get messages like, hey, can I get one of those?
Yeah.
But they're that good, guys. They are that amazing. Like
Yeah.
Eric has once again created a figure that is just hot fire. It's
Can we speculate what we think we may see?
we should speculate that.
Okay. So last year we got the Nimian infantry,
Mm-hmm.
right? The year before we got the Valiant Knight, right?
Right.
So we got this roadshow barbarian throughout the year.
Right.
I'm thinking at Legion's Con, we're going to get the female barbarian, legendary female barbarian at a 1.0 scale.
I will accept that, but also one up it and say it's going to be a deluxe 2-pack.
Oh,
Maybe.
okay.
So it's going to have the legendary barbarian, legendary female barbarian, and a crap ton of parts.
Okay.
Hairs, heads, weapons, shields, torches from Brian Lynn, everything. It's gonna be.
Okay.
I want it all. I want this set.
So I'm looking at the figure right now, right? So the way I'm breaking it down is I'm envisioning a helmeted head right off the bat.
Yes.
And then like this is built almost like the Ghost of Christmas Past, how we have the helmet or the face without it. I'm thinking we'll get a redhead, a brunette. I'm sorry, redhead, a blonde, and then black. Because I'm thinking in my head, I'm thinking the idea was Conan, He-Man, and then the offshoot. And then obviously the offshoot matches the beard. I'm thinking for the Conan people, I think Red Sonja.
Right.
I think Belit. I think Valeria for the movie idea of it. I think you could get like a little bit of Attila out of it. So
right.
I think that the body might be Neve, the female elf barbarian that we saw from Rising Suns, maybe
she had
down.
bare legs, didn't she?
Yeah, I think we might see some of that stripped down. Or, I mean, because we just saw, which we didn't talk about, which is a whole nother conversation, the Legion's Con reveal. Because we just saw that the new female version of that, maybe we get that in a flesh tone. Maybe it's the Ghost of Christmas Past in a flesh tone done up for Barbarian and have a smaller companion to go with that.
If you look at Bastet, I mean,
yeah,
Bastet, if you change her lower soft goods pieces,
yeah,
I mean, you can still use that chest wrap.
Yeah.
What if you used the abdomen wrap part, but for the chest, you could do like
an armor top? like a Freya armor top or something
like a
like that.
Freya. Yeah, exactly. I kind of want to build that right now.
Yeah.
Let me get some hot water. Let's start building.
Let me turn my heater on.
Yeah, and then we could get like the female barbarian figure we got right here, which I love this figure. So maybe it'll be like deluxe female legendary barbarian version 2 or something.
I think that's how they got to do it. I mean,
you
you can't.
Do that, man.
You got to do the legendary barbarian. You got to do the legendary female barbarian.
You got to.
And Rising Sun's coming. Like, come on, it's got to be.
Oh man, it's the time. It's time of barbarians, man. The noble bear and all that.
And at this point, between what they just announced this week with the Legions Con exclusive, and if that shows up, I don't want to say this because this is a terrible thing. I don't want an armory if that's what we're going to get. Like, I'm going to spend all of my money on the Legions Con exclusive and the barbarian. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't spend.
Or have the armory, but have it the same one as last year. So I've got like 7 or 8 of those. I'm okay. Let the people that didn't get all the armories and all the knights that they want to build,
but
they go back.
Won't.
Build
they
those.
Won't. They're gonna punish us. They're gonna pummel us.
I know.
They're gonna do dwarfs and goblins, and then I'm just gonna sit there in a fetal position, crying, going, "I need it all. I need it all."
Jeremy's by that tree.
Yeah, Jeremy's right there going,
watching us, and our wallets are just like, take my money. Yeah, because I'm watching the show and I'm like, okay, here's me when I'm watching Mythic Conversations, and then we'll go in a minute. But I'm watching the show, and my fiance Rhiannon, she's watching it too. Like, she's kind of loosely, like, she knows what's going on. She knows the people. She knows that I love this community and the figures and all that. And I'm watching, and he's showing like, here's this build, and then here's this build. And then, we're saying, okay, I need 2 sets at least to build, all 4 of the figures. So I'm like, okay, if it's 60, that's 60 times 4, that's 240. Okay, that's, that hopefully, and then there's armory and and then my girlfriend's like, I think I want, and I'm like, oh no. And it's throwing me off. And she's like, well, I think I want one of those the nymph and and I'm like, okay, so then that's 5 times 60. That's
plus
300.
Plus the Toy Forge custom.
Plus the Toy Forge customs. Plus the patina prints I gotta go see. And then, Brian Burke's got I'm like, oh man. And then I gotta stay somewhere.
Right.
You gotta stay at the hotel.
You know what? My as soon as I empty out my vehicle Friday night, my Traverse is looking better and better. I might Airbnb out my hotel room and just stay in my Traverse that weekend. I mean,
yeah, I'm telling you. I
mean, there's enough people that I could just bum a shower if I need to.
That exactly. Yeah, I'm just gonna hop from like one room to the next. I'm like, I'm just gonna sit in this chair over here and just kind of like fall asleep for a minute, and if you need me to move, I'll move, and then I'll go to the next, knock on, hey Jesse, can I? Hey Brett, can I? Mind if I?
I mean, if you're technically in line. I mean, we had people that were in line during the weekend they spent their weekend on a couch in line that didn't have a hotel room. So
valid.
There's some legal loopholes.
You could sleep in line. I saw people lying on the floor. Yeah. So, Yeah. I mean, that's
I can't wait.
Dude, I couldn't wait after. I mean, I didn't want to leave. I wanted that magic to keep going, but
this was a different year for me. I had a lot going on with outside work, just a lot of different pressures that were making it a different year for me. So I'm hoping to be able to refocus and reshift it into 25 being like to reclaim a lot of that magic that I had in years previous. There was a lot, we were also orchestrating the first alliance with a lot of, trying to oversee a lot of our table working together. We had, a lot of different guys all working amongst each other, with each other, trying to, this guy was working with this guy, that guy was working with this guy. And I was trying to oversee all that. And it was, definitely a different Legions con. So this year is going to be a little bit more back to basics. So I think that'll kind of help me refocus on what I need to do to have a good time.
Absolutely.
So
well, we need to go into that too. We will go into that on
part three.
Part three.
That's
right.
I'm
Stay
all
tuned,
for it.
everybody.
Yes.
All right, my friend. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I will see you in a few short minutes. Everyone else, this will be airing in a few weeks, probably about 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. I'll have this episode out, and then we'll have part 2 right after that. So thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. Thank you, Anthony, very much for your time, and we'll see you guys soon.
All right.
Remember, friends, to always have fun, be curious, share, and enjoy what this line has to offer. Come for the toys, but stay for the friends. Good night, and thank you very much.